This is Mindy Fulcher, and I am going to be your instructor for this second section of Design and Build. So essentially, this course is going to be a continuation of what we have been doing, or what we did in Design and Build 1. In that stage, you were more focused on the design and what your project was going to be and what it was going to look like, and really just everything about the design phase. In the second section, this term, we will be focusing more on the implementation, the build, the development portion of your projects. And really this whole class, because it's sort of set up as a bit of an independent study, large-scale project where you're all doing different types of projects. I really have the course set up as a project management type of course, and if some of you are interested in going into, let's say, working at an advertising agency or something like that, or even being a freelancer in which you may be working on small teams, not everything that you do will be just making things and designing or developing things. A lot of what you'll have to do when working on large-scale projects in the real world is documenting your stages of the project that you're going through. Advertising agencies, just because that's my background, I'm used to working with a lot of different people, writers, clients, copywriters, clients. The traffic manager is really the person who carries the project, or all the projects that are going on. They are in charge of trafficking or making sure that all the projects are in the right place at the right time, in the right stage of the process at the right time, in the right person's hands. So, that really, that documentation is really important. It's an important part of doing that type of work. So hopefully this class will be a way to help you practice managing large-scale projects and that whole process of documenting the work that you're doing. Because honestly, the documentation is really the way that you, as a freelancer or someone working in a team at an agency, that's how you document the hours that you have put in, and that goes directly to billing the client for the work that you've done. So it's important. Just keep that in mind. And I want to go through some of the main modules that you'll be working through. This is a 7-module course. The first module, you'll revisit the app design journal, and I have a keynote uploaded in your module 1 folder. I also have a PDF in case you don't have a Mac and don't have Keynote, so there's a PDF for you. And you've seen this document before in the previous term, but this term we're really going to utilize it more to document your projects, and it will be a tool to help you collect everything and prepare for your final presentation in Module 7. So I want to go through this app design journal with you. So in Design and Build 1, we really went through the brainstorming process and just those beginning stages of designing and planning your UI. And another thing, this is very geared toward app design, but we can very easily adapt this in case you're working on a game design project, or instead of an app, maybe a website, or a graphic design project. So this is essentially just a workflow and a project management system. So the details don't really matter. It's the stages that matter more. So we've gone through the design phase, and we've kind of gotten to the prototype stage. There may still need to be some work done in the prototyping stage, which is totally fine at this point. But essentially, you'll use this document to transfer all of the information that you have completed in Design and Build 1. And pretty much when we get to this middle stage, the prototyping stage, that's about where we're going to start this term. And another piece that's really important that I want to talk to you about, as I mentioned, it's the documentation side of things, and especially the learning portion of this project and this class. So a lot of you are going to, maybe not just with this project, but projects in the future, there's going to be an element of self-education that you're going to need to do, honestly, on a pretty much continual basis, because things change quickly in this line of work, and you have to stay up to date, and the way to stay up to date is to constantly be educating yourself on the newest trends or best practices in the field. So researching and self-educating yourself is an absolute needed skill to have. So it's a very important part of this course and this project. So Module 1 will be just reflecting or reviewing your project briefs, making sure you're on the right track. If there's a point where maybe you're doing it, you were planning to create an app, and now you're deciding that maybe it's best if I switch to a website, that's fine. We just kind of need to document that and revise your project brief. When we get to Module 2, we'll do a little more planning, but really this planning is more geared toward the actual implementation of your final project. So we'll use pseudocode and flowcharts to create a workflow plan, and this is essentially a planning tool to help you know what you're going to do, have a plan before you hit Module 3 and 4. So Module 3, you will, sorry, let me close that. In Module 3, you will build your basic UI in Xcode. Now I've got Xcode here. You could be using Android Studio. If you're using a PC, that's totally fine. No big deal. Then the next stage will be to connect your UI elements to your code. So really Module 4 is really about developing those the coded elements that you're going to need. Module 5 is an important part. It's a little later than midterm essentially, but we need to have something that's pretty well formed in order to send it to someone to be a user tester, to go through the user testing process. So we're going to wait until we hit Module 5 for that portion. And so in this stage, you will have your peers, your classmates will go through user testing exercises and forums to kind of answer some questions that will help give you feedback as you move into the revision stage. Now, if you refer to this app design journal again, you'll notice there is an education portion and a research portion essentially. So throughout this course, there are going to be some learning goals and skill development needs that you're going to have in order to accomplish your project in the end. And that is an important piece of this course. It's not something that should go unnoticed, because some of you may have some pretty significant projects that you're trying to accomplish, and there's going to be a lot of skill development that you may not have, and you need to get to that point. So it's an important part of planning your time. It's an important, very important part of time management and organization within a short 7-week course like this. So educating yourself, knowing what you need to learn, having a plan to accomplish that is going to be important. And then I also really want you, I'll ask you every week to document what you've done, what you've learned, what resources you're using. And this is just going to be a tool to help you when you get to your final presentation, because all of this will be part of your final presentation. And then, as I said, when we get to that evaluate stage, I'm sorry, clicked on the wrong thing. When we get to the evaluation portion and the user testing portion, your classmates will evaluate your projects, but also you could have family or friends try it out if you want to get more feedback. Just depends on how deep you want to go at this stage, but it is an important process that we're going to experience. And there will be some questions, and this is all in the document, the app design journal that you can use. And at another point, once you get through that evaluation portion in Module 6, we will then take that feedback that we got from Module 5 and go through a revision process. And that'll be your final stage before you prepare your final projects and ultimately your final presentations. Now in Module 7, I do want to show you quickly some information that you'll be able to find in Module 7 about your final presentation. That is going to be your opportunity to show all the work you've done throughout the Design 1 or Design and Build 1 and Design and Build 2 courses, and you can show that in any way that you want. It could be a PowerPoint presentation, it could be if you built a game, you could send the game to others to experience. You could do a video simulation of someone playing the game. You could do audio, an audio recording explaining what you did. It could be video, it could be visuals and screenshots and an actual website, of course, if you've built a website. So really, it's totally up to you how you want to present your final project. And there's also a portion of the final project, which is the self-assessment. Now, this is not you really giving yourself a grade of A, B, or C, or anything like that. This is really more of a way for you to recognize your strengths and also determine areas that you could get better at. So there's just a form. It's a Google form. There's a link to it here. You will fill this out on a sliding scale. You would rank a lot of different categories. This doesn't show all the categories, but or here, I can just go to the form and you can see it here. So all the categories would be you ranking yourself on research and organization, how you met your deadlines and your development schedule, how your communication and discussions, how you would rank yourself in that category, creativity and problem solving. So really, this is not a right or wrong type answer situation. This is more of a way for you to just reflect on the project and understanding what your strengths are, and then of course determining the areas in which you can improve. So that's kind of the point there. It's more of a tool. It's not really a way for you to grade yourself. It's more just an assessment so that you can see what your strengths are, because you guys are nearing the end of your degree plans and you're about to start looking for jobs. So it's important to know what your strengths are as you go out and look for jobs, and also knowing what your weak areas are and where you can improve in order to get a job that you might want. So that's really the semester kind of all wrapped up quickly in a short video of what I want you to focus on or what to expect. Really, it's very much about creating your project and then documenting the whole process of your project that you went through, and then finally presenting it to your classmates and instructor.